This video is to help you predict outcomes and probability. So first, a couple definitions. What is an outcome? An outcome is the possible results in an experiment. I left my L out. Possible results in an experiment. Just like in science, when you do an experiment, we do experiments in math with numbers, different events in which we get different numbers. So these are my outcomes. It's anything that's possible within that experiment. What is an event? It's one outcome or a combination of outcomes. So an event is when you have a result from an experiment. One way you can record your outcomes and your events is by using a table. You can use a table to record the outcomes or the results of an experiment. An event can be one outcome or a set of different outcomes. So we're going to be looking at some different results from some different experiments in math. Alright, here's a table that shows all the possible outcomes for tossing a coin and spinning a spinner that has 4 equal parts. Alright, just to clarify, in one turn I'm going to toss a coin and spin the spinner 1 time each. Toss the coin 1 time, spin the spinner 1 time, and that's my turn. So what are my possible outcomes going to be on my turn? How many different things can I get on my turn? Well, if you spin, well, let's go to the coin. If I flip a coin, what can I get? I can either get heads or I can get tails. That's all. Okay? So let's say I flip my coin and I get heads. Now I have to spin my spinner and my spinner lands on red. So I get heads and red. I can spin my coin, it's going to land on heads. Spin my spinner, I get blue. That's another possible outcome. Something else I could get. If I flip my coin, I get heads. I could spin my spinner and get yellow. Flip my coin, spin the spinner, I could get green. So when my coin lands on heads, I could have heads red, heads blue, heads yellow, or heads green. There's nothing else I can get if my coin lands on heads. What if my coin lands on tails? Same thing. I can get tails red, tails blue, tails yellow, or tails green. There's nothing else I can get. If my coin lands on tails, I'm either going to get one of these, because these are 4 equal parts. Each part is 1/4. So it's an equal spin. But that's all I can do. So there are 8 possible outcomes if I flip a coin 1 time and I spin my equally portioned spinner 1 time. If my coin lands on heads, I get heads red, heads blue, heads yellow, or heads green. If my coin lands on tails, I can get tails red, tails blue, tails yellow, or tails green. There are only 8 different combinations I can get with 1 coin and 1 equally portioned spinner. So when I have these experiments that I'm doing in math, there are different ways you can predict outcomes, and I'm going to talk about one of the types of terminology you can use to predict outcomes. We'll talk about some different ones later, but for now, we're going to predict some outcomes. What does it mean to predict? Just like in science, it's to tell what might happen, your hypothesis in science. Back when you were studying the scientific method, you had to make a prediction. I think this is what's going to happen. 3 things can happen. Likely. You can predict that something is likely to happen if it has a greater than even chance of occurring. It's unlikely to happen if it's having less than an even chance of occurring. And it's equally likely, meaning having the same chance of occurring. So these are the terms we're going to use for now to predict outcomes: likely, unlikely, and equally likely. So here's my experiment. What is possible with this experiment? I have two bags. In bag A, I have 28 red marbles and 2 blue marbles. That's all that's in my bag. On my other hand, I have another bag, and this bag has 15 red marbles and 15 blue marbles. Using my terms likely, unlikely, and equally likely, what predictions can I make about if I were to reach in that bag and pull out a marble, what color could I predict I would draw? So let's make some predictions. Bag A, 28 red marbles, 2 blue marbles. More red than blue. It is what, but not certain, that I'm going to get a red. Is it likely, unlikely, or equally likely that I'm going to get a red? Well, I have more red than blue, so it is likely, but not certain, because I might get a blue one, that I will get a red. It is blank, but not impossible that I'll get a blue. Well, there are only 2 in there. There are 30 marbles in there, and only 2 of them are blue, so it's pretty unlikely, but not impossible, because there are blue ones in the bag, that I will get the blue. Maybe I'm lucky and I get the one of the 2 blue marbles. But if I have to make a prediction, reaching into this bag A, 28 red, 2 blue, I'm going to predict it's likely I'm going to get a red. It's unlikely that I'll get a blue. Let's look at bag B. Bag B has 15 red marbles and 15 blue marbles. Well, what does that mean for me? I have a bag, I'm going to reach in, I have the same amount of red and blue. It is what that you will pull a red or a blue. Remember, each color has the same chance. So if the chances are the same, the numbers are equal for the 2 different colors, then it is equally likely that I will get a red or a blue. My chances are the same. There's the same amount of red, the same amount of blue. I'll reach in. I have a 50-50 chance I'll get a red. I have a 50-50 chance I'll get a blue. So for now, we're going to make our predictions using the terms likely, unlikely, and equally likely.